We'll go through the list first because I think that, although I'm sure a lot of people have read the list, whilst we're in the thick of it and doing it in the moment, we may as well get through them. So
yeah,
we'll do that first. So I'll let you fire through the names and then I'll tell you who's not going.
Right, okay.
My team.
So you've got 4 keepers. You've got Dean Henderson, Jordan Pickford, Aaron Ramsdale, and James Trafford. You've got your defenders, which is Branthwaite, Dunk, Gomez, Gahey, Konsa, Maguire, Quansah,
and
Quansah, Shaw, Stones, Trippier, and Walker. You've got Alexander-Arnold, Gallagher, Jones, Mainu, Palmer, Rice, Wharton. Your forwards, I don't know why Bellingham's in the forwards.
No, I don't know if this is a bit mixed up. I've seen both online. It's a bit confusing.
Bellingham, Bowen, Eze, Foden, Gordon, Grealish, Kane, Maddison, Saka, Tony, and Watkins. You've got the manager as well. You want to ask him. Right, so they're your names. Who are the ones you're cutting?
So let's get the easiest one out the way. There's 4 keepers aren't going.
Yeah.
James Trafford out.
Yes.
Sorry, James. You're not in.
Yeah.
I don't even buy into the fact you need 3 keepers. I know you have to take him. He's not making one of my 3. So he's out. And then I've tried to do this fairly in that. Then that leaves me with 6 to cut. I was going to do it as 2 defenders, 2 midfielders, and 2 strikers, or 2 forwards.
Yeah.
But I think the midfield looks that light. I'm taking more defenders out, especially out of the fact he's picked quite a lot more defenders in this provisional squad. So the first one that I'm going to cut in the defence is Quansah.
Really?
I think he's only in this for that reason. I don't think there's any way he gets on the pitch ahead of the other players that are listed there.
Okay.
I think he's had a good season. I think he'll have a good future with England.
Yeah.
I quite like him. Out of the players that are listed there, you've got Branthwaite, who's relatively young and hasn't had the exposure in an England shirt. I know he's had maybe a lot more first-team football than Quansah this season. So if you're taking a bit of youth and going to bleed a bit of youth in, I don't think you can afford to do that in too many positions. And if I've got to cut someone, he's out. So,
yeah, fair enough. Quansah's out.
And then I'm cutting his mate. I'm cutting 3 defenders. I did say that though, didn't I?
3 defenders?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's picked a lot of them here.
If you're saying his mate, I do agree with this one.
I'm saying that Konsa's going as well.
That's his mate?
I'm cutting... No, because it's Quansah and Konsa.
Oh. No. I wouldn't cut Konsa.
I'm cutting Konsa. There's a few there that I quite like. I'm not too passionate about the defence because to me, I play my 4 and I don't really switch it. And the ones I switch are probably more for the end of games or if you've already qualified. My back 4's nailed on. I know you need him there as backup. Ezri Konsa, I think he's fantastic again. I've not really got any issues with him.
So that's 3?
The last one that I'm cutting, this one was a toss-up really, and it's just a preference for me out the 2 I was going to cut. I was either going to cut Gahey or Dunk, and I've cut Gahey.
Nah, Dunk, mate.
Much prefer Lewis Dunk to Mark Gahey. I've seen them both play for England as well, and I think they can both do the job. Again, I'm not starting either of them. As a pretense, my back 4, left back's a bit sketchy in it because we don't know, but my back 4 would be Luke Shaw, Stones, Maguire, Walker.
Yeah.
Only gets changed when there's an injury or when you've already won the games you've won.
Yeah.
And so in that system, I'm playing an out-and-out centre-half in Lewis Dunk. Gahey, I know you can do the same, but I don't know. I like Lewis Dunk, got a big head, reminds me a bit of Maguire. Get him in there. Not the sort of football content you want from me there or the analysis. But
he is just another Maguire, so I understand your pick.
I think he takes the ball from the back really well. He passes it out really well. He's the man for De Zerbi made him at Brighton. You know, I know he was doing that before, but he's the captain. He was picking up the ball off the back 4 all the time. He's driving attacks forward. So I couldn't cut him. Gomez, I think it'd be very, very harsh to cut because I think he's had a really good season for Liverpool. So he's in over Mark Gahey for me. So that takes me on to the midfield where I'm only cutting 2. And that's because I've only cut 1 forward, but I find it very difficult to cut forwards. Yeah. There's too much talent there. And I actually think some of the forwards players you can play in midfield. And
so out of Alexander-Arnold, Gallagher, Jones, Mainu, Palmer, Rice and Wharton, you've cut 2?
I've cut 2. One of them's classed as a forward in the list I looked at this morning.
Which one's that?
Well, I can tell you in a minute. I've cut from what I've considered midfielders. Adam Wharton.
You've cut Wharton?
Yeah, I think he's fantastic, but I think
might be a bit too early.
I think maybe just and you can make the argument about Mainu. I know we've discussed it on the pod. I'm almost putting it as it's Mainu or Wharton. Maybe you could throw Jones in the mix there.
I think Wharton's just been for the last 2 months. Really.
I don't think it's been enough. It might be a bit early.
Yeah,
if he still went. I think he'd deserve it. If it's coming down to me, there's a few in there that are absolute certs that are going, and that's Alexander Arnold if you consider him a midfielder. Kobbie Mainoo for me. I'm taking Gallagher because I think he's been fantastic for Chelsea this season. I'm taking Rice, absolutely nailed on, of course I am. And then I'm putting Bellingham in that midfield as well, even though I know he's played a bit of a number 10. So Gallagher has to go. I've cut Wharton and I'll cut Maddison.
So you've cut Wharton and Maddison, have you?
Those are my midfielders that I'd cut. Maddison, I think I'd just prefer the other forward options. So I may as well tell you my striker now as well. My last 3 that I've cut, Wharton, Maddison and Ivan Toney.
Oh.
I wanted to take all the other forwards.
Yeah.
Too exciting. Eze, got to go for me. I'm glad he's got his call up. I want him there.
Do you know what? I was shitting it because I thought you was going to cut Eze. I was like, don't you dare.
I think if Maddison hadn't had that injury and would have maintained the form that he displayed, he would have been a dead cert in here. But when I put him up against everybody else in there, he comes at the bottom of the list for me.
Yeah. If you look at it in a tactic point of view, if you look at a tactic point of view, you've got Kane, right? If Kane ever got injured or like had to come off, right, but you wanted to play the same way,
you'd play Toney. Yeah, but I'm not taking him.
But then you look on the other hand, you look at Watkins' season, and you're like, how can you not take him?
Yeah, I prefer Ivan Toney to Ollie Watkins.
So you're going off form instead of tactics here, because if you were going off tactics, it'll be Toney.
Yeah, I don't think if we've not got Harry Kane, I think we do have to play differently. We've got too many good forward players, wide players. If you can throw Watkins in there, but he's a bit more versatile like that. Anyway, I think there's a side note here for me, and this will be controversial, I think, and I don't think you'll agree with me either. So you've asked me to cut 7 out the 33. I've done that. I'll cut 8 and bring a man in that isn't in the provisional squad at all.
Oh, okay.
I want to know what you think.
But you can't physically do that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he can or not. I don't. Can he still do that? So it's been the talk of the town. We've not discussed it on the pod yet. Marcus Rashford goes for me. I know people will discuss his form this season. He, compared to all those forwards, in my opinion, is one on his own in terms of the way that he plays, whether he starts a game or comes off the bench. I don't think there's any forward there, and they're all fantastic in their own right. They're all quite similar, in my opinion. And some of them, they consider them forward. Some of them, for example, you want Foden as number 10, but Bellingham will probably be playing there. You know, they're both good at number 10s. Foden can play out on the left, so that's great. But Foden's best position is number 10. Bellingham's best position is number 10. They both want the ball into feet and run with it. Grealish wants the ball into feet and run with it. Saka wants the ball into feet and run with it. Palmer wants the ball into feet and run with it. I think maybe Gordon might be the only one in there that can go in and get behind. I cut Bowen and pull Rashford in. And I think it's very harsh on Bowen because I think he's had a good season in a struggling West Ham team. But not taking him is a huge mistake in my eyes. You look at that 33-man provisional squad, Harry Maguire's our 3rd top goal scorer. Or 2nd top goal scorer. I don't know. I remember seeing someone broke it down on Twitter. You've got Harry Kane that's got a shitload of goals. And then you might have, for example, might be Phil Foden. And then it's Maguire. Marcus Rashford gets goals. He gets in behind. He can get the ball to feet as well. And I think I know you should pick players on form, and it'd be very harsh to cut any of them. It's quite difficult to cut any of them. A lot of them deserve to go. So maybe it's fair to cut him on form. But I can't really get behind. And maybe that's the United bias. And I've slated him at times this season because he's not been good enough. But I think you're missing out massively.
Okay.
So I want to know what your take is.
Right. So there's points to this where you can go either way. Okay, so first of all, I agree.
What, you agree he should go or not go?
I agree he should go for Bowen.
For Bowens, but do you think there's anyone else that's maybe contentious as a forward? I think they've all been better than him. this season, by the way.
Oh yeah, they've all been better.
But I think he's unfortunately the easy target that I'd take out.
When you say about form, right, there's a bit of this form thing that I don't agree with. So if you're a manager of an international team and you're Southgate, right, you have your way of playing. He has gathered a group of players here that have gotten used to each other over the years and done really well with each other. Right?
Yeah, a lot of them have played time and time again.
You can't. These people that keep screaming, saying, "What? Oh, he never goes off form. All you should do is go off form." No, you shouldn't.
There is a mix.
There's a mix of it.
Balance. There's a balance.
Yeah, there's a mix. And if you just go, "Oh, Kane's having a bad season," he's not going to drop Kane and bring in Watkins, is he?
There's a lot of players there that look at the Maguire saga and people hated that.
Yeah.
He is a dead cert for me.
Yes.
All the time.
Yeah.
Pickford, the same.
So's Luke Shaw.
I know Pickford's had good form.
Luke Shaw as well, innit?
Club as well, but...
Right, so the other thing with Rashford, I agree. You made good points about everyone wants it at feet, no one wants it in behind. Rashford wants it in behind, and he's very good.
Maybe Gordon does a bit.
Maybe Gordon, yes. Yeah, I agree with that. So that's why I would have kept Gordon there.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't take him out.
Bowen's kind of a feet person as well. So the other thing I will say is, so I agree taking Rashford. There's one point of a United fan saying, like, from a point of view, I wouldn't want to take someone that has had such a bad season all season, because what message does that send to that person? It means you don't really have to try because you're always in this England squad. Ideally, I'd be like, yeah, you're not going. You need to like kickstart your form. So leaving him out, I kind of agree with as well. It's weird. I'm 50-50 on it all.
I agree with both, but I'm not 50-50. I'm more
60-40.
Yeah, maybe even more weighted to the fact he should have gone, because I just think as well, when it's a man that's delivered for you, I know he's not been mind-blowing. He even had a big penalty miss and stuff, but he's delivered for Southgate, for England. He's scored goals. He's been a difference maker. His link-up play with Harry Kane's quite good.
Yeah.
He knows if you put him on the left at times, he must be thinking he's got a nailed on 11 in his head. Where does Rashford come into that? Oh, he doesn't. But I think as an impact player, considering the likes of Bowen ain't going to get a sniff.
No.
Even the likes of Eze, they're going to struggle for minutes. Those forward players we've got are so good. If you're going to bring one on and he's only going to get 10, 15, it's Marcus Rashford. It's not Jared Bowen. I'd argue it's not even Anthony Gordon, and I really like him and think he deserves to go. But if they're not going to start anyway, then I'd rather somebody that's been there, done that, be the man on the bench.
So after all that, if you want to know my decision, it is, I agree with you. I think Rashford should be going, even though he's had the terrible form. The only question is, have they had a discussion? And there's always a question of, is his head in the right headspace? If his head isn't in the right headspace, which his season kind of says it isn't, what is the point of taking a person that is so low on confidence? Because that Rashford that we saw last tournament, we won't see. Even though it is like a different type of player, his confidence might be that low that there is actually no point.
But if you remember rightly, though, that World Cup, he didn't go into that World Cup in form. He came out the World Cup in form.
Yeah.
And so maybe selfishly from a United point of view, I'd like to see him kickstart his form with England and come back and kick on for us next season.
Yeah.
But to not be in the provisional squad is a shock. It would be a shock if he didn't make it when he got cut. I'm very shocked he didn't make the 33.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I think if he got the 33 and he got some minutes in, because we've got 2 friendlies now, if he got some minutes in the friendlies and you thought, he's not at it, he's not training well, I'm not happy. He's just come out of winning the FA Cup final where I thought he had one of his better performances of the season. Not saying he was a world beater, but he looked brighter than he has done. He gets some minutes in them finals, in them friendlies, even if he ain't starting. Because you're looking at them friendlies, you've got Bellingham playing a bloody Champions League final on Saturday. He's not going to be going and playing in the friendlies. And I know he's nailed on anyway. There's no contention for him not being in the team.
Yeah.
But out of some of them names, he's now give some of them lads, bled them in, and I think that's fair. But I'm very shocked that he didn't make the 33. And at that point, Gareth could have said to him, listen, go out and impress me, because otherwise you're not making the final squad. I
think there's too much pressure on Southgate to pick informed players now, because the amount of media that goes around saying, how can they not take him? How can they not take him? But that's the world we live in now. We're part of that.
I think he knows. I think he knows everyone's talking about this being his last tournament.
Yeah.
So he's maybe not taking any risks.
But for me, I agree. I would have him in there over Bowen.
But I like the squad. I like the way he's picked players.
I especially like that pick. I really like the Eze pick.
Yeah, I like the Eze pick. I think Adam Wharton deserves his flowers. We spoke about him on the pod a little bit. But even look at like someone like Grealish. I know he's just won the Prem. Do you think he's been good enough this? Is there an argument that he's been worlds better than Rashford? Yeah, his attitude's a lot better. His work rate's a lot better. And he's playing in a team where his confidence has never really taken a huge dip. And if it has, it hasn't been publicised like Rashford's has. So his headspace is probably a little bit better.
To be honest, I'd probably start Grealish.
But he's had three goals, 3 assists, and been out on the piss all week. And I'm not knocking it.
The thing is,
he's a fantastic player, and we love Grealish.
Thing is with Grealish, it's not about his stats, is it?
You know what he can deliver, and there's no world for me where he's not in that team. Okay. Maddison, I think, is a funny one, like I said, and that's why I cut him. But
it is an odd one. Like, you could even say keep Bowen in, take Maddison out, and put Rashford in. Like, you could even do that. I do agree. Like, Maddison before his injury was like really good, but Maddison is also a bit of a downfall because he's not really one that can play on the wing. He plays behind the strike, or he's not really anywhere else.
He's number 10 off the bench, or number 10 in the third group game when we've already through.
Yeah, and if you look at number 10s. He's not better than Foden. He's not better than Eze, in my opinion. Eze
that's a bit closer, isn't it?
It is a bit closer.
He's not better than
Palmer.
Not better than Bellingham if he's playing there.
Not better than Bellingham there.
That's why I think the likes of Curtis Jones, Gallagher, Mainu go, because there's not enough depth there.
Yes.
And that's why when I said I cut Wharton, unfortunately I just prefer, people might say I'm crazy for saying Curtis Jones or Kobbie Mainu. People might rate Wharton really that highly now. But I've always said I think Curtis Jones is a class player. Maybe he's not had enough minutes this season because he was injured a long period of time. But we've only seen the form from Wharton in the back end of the season.
Yes, yeah. I think that's the downfall. Like, people go, oh, what's the difference between Wharton and Mainu? Mainu's done it
for a bit longer.
And he's in the starting 11 of United squad every week.
Yeah.
He's just scored in the FA Cup final. He's doing it on the biggest stage. Why can't he be taken? Wharton's not there, is he, yet?
Gallagher had been very harsh for him not to get picked. When we need depth in those positions, and the season he's displayed for Chelsea, he was captain for most of the season.
Energy as well.
Very, very harsh if he didn't get picked. Because he's not going to start a lot of games.
I'm not even semi-final against France, 75th minute, everyone's getting a bit leggy, France are all over us. You bring Conor Gallagher on.
Put some tackles in, cover some ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. So, out of that squad for the Euros, you're cutting Trafford, Quansah, Gahey, Wharton, Maddison, and Tony.
Yeah, I think there's a few names in there that people will definitely disagree with, but certainly if they're fans of them clubs. But I think it's contentious, and I think half of them ones I've just said, the way to look at it is look at who's been getting picked anyway, and then look at your provisional squad, because the 7 that came in mostly are going back out.
Yeah.
And I've picked a few different to that because I think it's a bit more exciting.
Yeah.
The Trafford one may as well not be in there. It's 6 players, because he's definitely not going.
Yeah.
Unless one of these other lads gets injured in the lead up.
So your squad for the Euros is Henderson, Pickford, Ramsdale, Branthwaite, Dunk, Gomez, Maguire, Shaw, Stones, Trippier, Walker. Then your midfield for the Euros is Trent, Conor Gallagher, Curtis Jones, Mainu, Palmer, Rice.
Yeah.
Then your forwards are Bellingham.
Bowen's in, but I'm having Rashford instead. But Bowen's in.
Yeah, Bellingham, Bowen, Eze, Foden, Gordon, Grealish, Kane. You're taking Maddison. No, you're not taking Maddison.
Nope.
Yeah, it's taking Saka and Watkins.
Yeah. Tony I really like, but I don't think we need 3 forwards.
Yeah.
And I think you have to take Watkins. It's been horribly unfair.
That is very tough.
But I do actually prefer Tony. But he's also missed half the season.
Yeah.
So Watkins has been available all season. He goes.
Yeah, it'll be very, very... If I was Watkins, I'd be fuming if that happened.
What more can you do? You may as well give up.
Yeah.
Retire from international duty.
Yeah.
At 26 or however it is, I don't know.
He's like 28, isn't he?
Oh, come on.